Well, hello, and thank you for joining me. I'm Jill Bloom, Group Publisher of Roofing Contractor, Walls and Ceilings, and Building Enclosure. I'm honored to be speaking today with Ned Monroe, the President and CEO of the Vinyl Institute. Ned, thank you so much for joining me.
I'm glad to be here, Jill. Appreciate the opportunity.
Ned, can you tell us about the Vinyl Institute and some background and what's been going on and what everyone needs to know about?
Glad to do so. So the Vinyl Institute is an organization based in Washington, D.C. We've been in existence for about 40 years. Actually, this is our 40th anniversary. And we represent primarily the four resin manufacturers, the chemical manufacturers that actually produce polyvinyl chloride and then sell it to downstream extruders and producers. And so about 75% of all of our PVC goes into building construction, commercial and residential. And so when you think about it, this is the vinyl flooring, vinyl roofing, vinyl windows, vinyl doors, vinyl wall covering, all the cabling that's in the building. So your audience, this is the ideal audience that we want to talk to, because everything that we do at the Vinyl Institute is absolutely completely interconnected with the wall and ceilings and roof contractors and the building enclosures industry. Our group is primarily an advocacy group. We're involved in state, local, and federal legislative and regulatory engagement, trying to make sure that we're educating folks about the quality product that we have in the PVC line.
Yeah, most definitely. And there's clearly been some things going back and forth for the last decade, as you were saying. I'd love to hear you explain to everybody the reason why this conversation we're having today is so important. And I'll let you take it from there.
Sure. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk about a really important issue, and that is the Center for Biological Diversity, CBD, sued the Environmental Protection Agency in the United States in 2014, trying to get the Environmental Protection Agency to regulate discarded PVC waste as a hazard. And they filed suit in 2014 in the Obama administration under TSCA, Toxic Substance and Control Act, and RCRA, the Resource Conservation Recovery Act. Sorry about the acronym.
Yeah.
But it was the Obama administration was sued basically by this environmental law group. So Center for Biological Diversity, they're very involved in suing as kind of the legal think tank for environmental groups. So what happened in 2014 is the EPA dismissed the TSCA suit. They said it doesn't make any sense, doesn't happen. Thank you very much. We'll see you later, but it's not relevant. And there's no need to regulate PVC as a hazardous waste. So they dismissed that first petition. The second petition under RCRA, Resource Conservation Recovery Act, which is the congressional set up process for regulating hazardous waste and landfill. So it's kind of the waste disposal regulation that we have in the U.S. So they didn't do anything. They took this petition in 2014, the Obama administration, the Obama Biden, and they put it in a file cabinet, and they didn't do anything. And you can't do that. If you in fact sit on a petition for 7-8 years, you're in violation of longstanding policies. That a government agency can't sit on a citizen petition for that long. So CBD, they waited until Biden was in office. You know, Trump got out, Biden got in. And so they dusted off the petition and said it waited too long, EPA. And the EPA said, what do we do? And they asked the public, what should we do? And they entered into a consent decree with the Center for Biological Diversity that said that they will have some kind of a tentative agreement to rule by January 20th of next year. So January 20, 2023, the Environmental Protection Agency will either give a thumbs up or a thumbs down on this petition. If they say yes, thumbs up, we're going to look at this as a potential hazard, then it'll start a several-year process. The next phase will be in April 12th of 2024. They'll actually have to make a final decision, and then they'll go through that rule writing process if they agree. Now, if they say thumbs down in January, it's over. And basically, and I guess somebody could sue. They could, we're a litigious society. They could continue to sue.
Sure.
But and I don't want to judge what the EPA is going to do. We don't know what they're going to do. But January is just the first step in this process. Now, we are working very hard to disseminate the facts on our case, to educate the EPA professional staff and the political staff that PVC is a quality product of choice. And we hope that they will turn this petition down. Look, if Biden turned it down the first time 7 years ago, there's no reason that Obama and that Biden-Harris can't turn it down in January. And that's what we hope they do, but we're not quite sure what will happen. And if they say thumbs down to the petition, it's over, hopefully.
Sure.
If they say thumbs up, we're going to consider it. That just kicks off a several-year public comment, rule writing, probably litigation process for years down.
More questions, right? So I guess the next question is what would it mean for businesses in the construction industry if they rule this as hazardous waste?
Really, really good question. So I'll answer in a couple ways. The first thing is we don't know what the EPA is ultimately going to do. We're working hard to try to make sure they get the data they need. The second is if they grant the petition, that only means you're going to start studying the issue in more detail. So again, as I've said, no work for years to come. Now, specifically to your question, though, we have heard from a myriad of downstream trade associations that have significant concerns about the implications of the petition. I mean, for example, compliance costs could cripple small businesses due to the collective cost of obtaining permits. If you're generating, permitting for waste training, consultation fees, zoning and site restrictions, increased insurance premiums. You might have problems with banking or financial services. We basically would have to manage everything in this process, how it's managed, how it's removed, how PVC is stored, how it's transported. So think about it. If you are working on a construction site and you have siding that you're pulling off from a facility, then that's hazardous, and you have to go through all the complicated federal regulations on managing transportation and storing of those. Now, let me be very clear. It's going to be a burden, and we need people to weigh in. Your audience, your companies. When we get to that public comment period, we'll ask folks to weigh in with the EPA. But this is not a ban. It will not be a ban. It won't be a ban on the process products. It'll just be a management issue.
Okay.
I mean, for example, there are lots of products that are already currently managed under RCRA as a hazardous waste. So think fluorescent light bulbs. Okay.
Right.
We still use fluorescent light bulbs, but if you have a fluorescent light bulb at a commercial setting, you have to manage that disposal separately. You have to collect it, you have to manage it, you have to track the storage, you have to do all the things with fluorescent light bulbs. But we still use fluorescent light bulbs. Same with batteries. Discarded batteries are a hazardous waste under RCRA. You just have to manage it in a little different way. And so, look, we could survive.
Sure.
People still want our PVC for their, PVC pipes and drinking water and sewage and, the roofing and the siding. We'll still use all of our products because there's really no better substitute. But it's something that we have to be very careful of. It's not a hazardous waste. It's not something that needs to be.
I was just going to ask you that. Is this really a hazardous waste?
It is not.
Is it any different than throwing out or than recycling a water bottle?
Well, it's interesting. So first of all, we do recycle PVC.
Okay.
And that is an important part under RCRA is how much recycling is going on. So we recycle about 1 billion pounds of PVC every year. A lot of that is pre-consumer. So if you're making PVC pipes or wall coverings and you're doing something and it doesn't turn out exactly as you need, you can regrind it and you could put it back in the mix. And there's some studies that say you can reuse PVC up to 8 times and it still holds its characteristics. So it's not a hazardous waste. You're not having the leaching characteristics. You're not leaching the material. Frankly, the vast majority of PVC doesn't have any of the concerns that this petition. Remember, this is a petition that was filed in 2014.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff that's happened between 2014 and today. And
sure.
So it's an old, out-of-date petition. And no, there's no issues that would we believe that would require PVC to be regulated as a hazardous waste under RCRA at the EPA.
Sure. Well, why is there somebody that thinks that it is a hazardous waste?
Well, It's a lot of different things, and I don't want to speak for Center for Biological Diversity.
Okay, yeah, right.
I'll speak to their argument. One of the things that they say is microplastics. So there's a lot of talk in this 2014 petition that are dealing with plastics and microplastics and marine waste. Well, those might be legitimate concerns for everybody, right? Nobody wants plastics to be in waste. Nobody wants plastics to end up in the ocean. We want to collect it. We want to manage it. We want to recycle it in a responsible way. Plastics has no place in the waste. But PVC is not a cause of microplastics.
Yeah, that's totally different.
PVC isn't a major concern in ocean plastic waste. It's not. We're in sewer pipes. 50% of our pipe is in pipes, sewer and drinking water pipes, which is not in the marine waste. Most of the marine waste, as I understand it, is packaging, and packaging is a minuscule segment of PVC, less than 1% of packaging. Sure. Water bottles and those kind of things it's not us. So the petition from CBD makes a lot of claim about plastics and marine waste and microplastics, which is not relevant to PVC. So
no, that totally makes sense.
One of the reasons we hope we'll win the first round of this when it comes out in January.
Well, yeah, no, that makes total sense. You can't, paint it with a broad brush over everything. And so what, I guess, really the impact, can you just talk about that sounds like a huge impact on just businesses and how they have to manage that, but also what is the impact construction waste management would have on supply chains?
It would be a pretty tremendous burden. We obviously would be able to manage through it. But that's why we have a broad coalition that are working to try to impact this petition. So we're working, for example, with Associated General Contractors. We're trying to reach out to Associated Builders and Contractors, the home builders. The American Chemistry Council is supporting us on this. We hope the NAM, the National Association of Manufacturers, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and all of our downstream trade associations. So Resilient Floor Covering and the PVC Pipe Association. So we're trying to build as broad a coalition as we possibly can to talk about the real unnecessary burden that this would place. Look, everybody wants clean air. Everybody wants a safe community. We want a clean and safe food supply. We want clean and safe drinking water. But we also all want common sense regulation. And this is not common sense regulation. This is a left of center legal group that's trying to sue to require something that's completely unnecessary. We manage our products very well. They don't cause a problem in landfills when disposed of properly. So this is just an unnecessary regulation that is just not common.
So it sounds like the Vinyl Institute will be filing a complaint regarding this issue. Can you tell us what that consists of?
So we won't really be filing a complaint. That would be kind of the process that some people do, but it's not in this case. This is more of a regulatory process. So we filed comments on the very first petition that came out earlier this year. We've been talking to the Environmental Protection Agency regularly. We met with them about 14 months ago. We talked to the professional staff recently, and we're presenting them with the documentation necessary to present our case, point by point by point, all the data that's necessary to refute this petition. And then, depending on what they do in January, then we'll take the next steps in commenting in the public process. So it's not a complaint, but we'll be replying in the public comment period, the next phase will be in January. Your listeners are all welcome to send comments to the Environmental Protection Agency. They can reach out to me in Monroe at vinylinfo.org, and we can put you in touch with the folks that are building the coalition. But the next big thing that will happen is January, and then depending on how the EPA rules, then we'll be filing public comments.
That sounds fabulous. Well, there's no doubt we really appreciate everything you're doing about this. And it sounds like you got, like you were saying earlier, there's some science-based information that you're going to be presenting. Can you talk a little bit about that and explain what that is? So
I don't want to give away too much about our legal case. In case some of your listeners are from the Center for Biological Diversity. But RCRA is very specific. More than a dozen specific items that you have to meet in order for a petition like this to be accepted. And what we're doing is going point by point, everything that the petition is commenting on and everything that RCRA requires to point out the fact that our products are well maintained, well managed, that this petition is not relevant. I mean, it's as much as going to every single footnote that they have provided in the petition and saying, here's where the footnote is irrelevant, or here's where the footnote is wrong, or here's where we have more data, more science, more studies that have come out since 2014. But I guess my biggest point is the Vinyl Institute and the vinyl industry is very united and working extremely hard to try to put this petition down because it's unfounded. It is something we're taking extremely seriously, but we're cautiously optimistic that if the professional staff at EPA does their job, looks at the science, that this will be denied and we'll move on to the next issue that the EPA comes after us.
Oh, that sounds great. Well, we'll be backing you up and hoping that will go through as you're working on. But when do you have an idea though when the EPA is expected to make their ruling? I mean, you gave some dates earlier, but can you?
So right now they're writing and considering the ruling, but that under this court decree that they put out earlier this year, on or by January 20, 2023, the EPA is going to sign a tentative decision on CBD petition. And that will be the time when they either thumbs up or thumbs down. Does the petition move forward or is it stopped? And so January 20th, 2023 will be probably the next benchmark. We'll know where this petition is going.
And so if anybody has any questions for you, Ned, how is the best way for them to get a hold of you or anybody at the Vinyl Institute?
So our website is vinylinfo.org. It is, you can reach me at nmonroe@vinylinfo.org. So our website is vinylinfo.org. You could search us Vinyl Institute on the Google machine and you could find us as well. But we're glad to help anybody, and we're trying to expand the coalition, so we'd appreciate everybody's engagement on this at that time.
Most definitely. Well, we'll help you get the word out because we know when when rulings like this come down, it's important to have all the information.
Absolutely.
So again, Ned, thank you so much for all you're doing. And if anybody has any questions for us, it's wconline.com, buildingenclosureonline.com, or roofingcontractor.com. And while you're there, make sure you sign up for all our free e-newsletters and our website, so you can also receive our e-magazine. That way you can always stay up to date on our great podcasts and videos like we're doing with Ned today. And again, Ned, thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.